You know what it is. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Get established. Let's go.
This is the Get Established Show Live, where we're all about awareness and support of our community, building within and beyond it. My name is Shine, and I'm here with my brothers, Chilla, D. Jones. Please like, share, and subscribe. Smash that like button for upcoming shows, and a link will be provided in the chat so you can join in on the conversation or comment in the chat. All right. Show disclaimer. The individual opinions expressed on here do not reflect the show as a whole or the goal of joining in and supporting our community. With that said, D. Jones.
What it is, man.
On you, my brother.
Chilling, man. What's going on, fellas?
What's up, man? What's going on, man?
How was y'all weekend, man?
It was fair. Man. I think Raymond enjoyed his a lot more, but it was fair.
I figured that you. Okay. I figured you were gonna come out. Okay. I figured you were gonna say something.
We coming off that so-called Great American Holiday.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like I said, enjoyed a bit of flowers, but then again, you know, he talking about yesterday where it was a cookout that I was invited to at the last second. And it was good. It was, you know, shout out to Miss Jackie of Beyond Vegans Sell Food. You know, she's on her upcoming, her engagement, and as well as her being a branch and a pillar of the community that that services us vegan folks.
Yeah, give them a little plug about Miss Jackie, man. Let the people know where she's located, man.
Okay, like I said, Beyond Vegan Sell Food is located in Portsmouth, Virginia, our hometown. That's can't remember the address, but it's High Street. Is the old town, Portsmouth, Virginia. You can't miss it. If you're making your way downtown to the downtown area, it's going to be on your right hand side. You will see the alligator, logo within the window sign.
Guess who did the logo, y'all?
Well, yeah, guess who did the logo? I contributed to the logo. But a shout out to her husband, her late husband. He came up with the concept, so I don't want to, go over the credit where credit is due.
Yeah. What's your weekend look like, Chilla? Unmute yourself, sir. You might want to unmute. Like your.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah,
we can hear you, brother.
Okay, yeah, I said mine were more relaxing, man. I didn't do too much, man. Just stay in the house. Most of my weekends is just trying to stay in the house and out of the way, man. I just was relaxing. That was it.
In the house and out of the way. I hear you.
Yeah, man. I mean, too much stuff be going on. Sometimes you like to stay out the way of things. Be always chaos and going on. So my safe haven is in the house, just relaxing, man. There's a lot of trouble and turbulence out there sometimes.
We get older, so that's what we do.
Yeah, as you get older, you just like to chill and relax, man. You don't need to be out there with all that stuff, man, that's going on out there.
I got you, man. Same here. Real low key, man. Just chilling, relaxing a little bit. Nothing major, man. I actually got a little rest. I can appreciate that, man. Before we get started, Shine, is something you wanted to throw out to the public?
Oh yeah, I wanted to shout out when I commented on the last show we had last week, talking about life insurance in the Black community. Please check that out if you haven't. There's a lot of good information on that. But I wanted to highlight Renee, Miss Renee Stevens, and how she was talking about how we didn't you know put out any data or statistics or anything, and it was just true. I want to highlight because when we were talking about about the show in regards to us as a black community, talking about how we are not getting insurance on the from the negative aspect of it, but the statistics from that she showed in the comments, if people look in 2024, the insurance rate that of people that have insurance in the Black community is 51%. So I mean that's good, because that means that I want to say this because amongst the other races, we're like second in behind the Caucasian folk for having
Right.
insurance.
Being
So
insured.
yeah, so I wanted to highlight that. So like I was saying, like I understand that, yes, we have made great strides in being knowledgeable and obtaining it, but still want to
We
encourage,
got work to do.
yeah, encourage those other 48%, 49% of folk that don't, that, hey, look, if you want to get it, or if you just to inform them and educate them on the fact that we're trying to let them know that, hey, it's a good thing to have.
True that. True that. Cool. That's a good segue in today's episode. Trust and believe. We will discuss living trust and why they are the key to establishing generational wealth. Do you know in 2022 the median white household held $284,310 in wealth, more than six times that of a median black household, which is at $44,100,
Mm,
and four times that of a Hispanic household, which is at $62,120. Black households have a wealth gap of 85% compared to the white household, and a Hispanic household has a wealth gap of 78%. Let's talk about it. How about
mm.
that? First question, gentlemen. What is a living trust?
Well, a living trust is a entity or a person basically who holds and manages the assets of the benefits of another some items and things of that nature. I'm still work with me because I'm still learning about all this stuff with trust is new to me. I know about it, but I'm still learning strongly about it. From what I'm learning, man, trust is something that black people we not haven't really been informed greatly or educated on it. A lot of us are still not knowing how to invest our money. We start off, they train us different and educate us different, but a lot of the wealthy people and rich people, this is something that benefits them. This is a way they protect their assets. This is a way they live formally and pass on generational wealth. This is something that we need to be knowledgeable about. But having a trust is something that's beneficial that we need to learn as black people. Like me, like I said, I know about it. I have been learning about it, and I still been trying to get all the information I can on it. Uh, a lot of us are not informed on it, and it's very important right now because we one of the biggest consumers of spending money in America. We buy we have nothing to show money. A lot of times, the money we spend, we throw away on shoes, we throw around on strip clubs, we throw around on nice cars. And the funny thing is, the same people throwing that money around don't have land, don't have real estate, don't have business, but we have this betrayal with our way we throw away wealth, that we are big ballers, shot callers, having all this stuff. If you look at some of these people who have the land, who have businesses, who doesn't look like us, they do not throw away this type money. They invest their money. They put their money. They know how it's beneficial to have this money. Most of our generational wealth we give away. They put their money away for other people in their family. So I know I'm just going on in the long run with it, but what is a trust? A trust is something that we need to learn and invest in, definitely, as Black people.
Let me say it's so it's a legal document that has our whatever assets that we have. We can put it in within that, and so that the probate process doesn't go into it like when the courts or whatever is won't come in and say, okay, well, we're gonna seize this money and hold it, so that if your relatives or anything that want to access that wealth to access those funds or whatever possessions to either use that to help pay for your final expenses, or just pass that on to who you designate or who you want to have those either those assets or the property. That's what that is, just so to keep us protected against the probate process and pass it on.
Well, it's crazy, man. I say this, man. It's been a lot of talk about the trust aspect here lately, a living trust. Um, for a long time, I didn't know anything about it, man. It was like the best kept secret. I mean, you
Yep.
figure you live your life, you pass away, and whatever's left goes to your kids in your mind. Like you said, a lot of
Yep.
times if you don't have something in place, that goes through probate. And I just learned this. Even if you have a will, it still has to go to probate. Um, and that's crazy because you now other people have their hands in your pocket and you're not even here. So having a trust keeps your legacy alive in a sense. You don't have to worry about, especially if you have your home in a trust, you don't have to worry about your kid being in a situation where they need money, sell the house. And, like on Soul Food, there was a big situation where, if you remember the movie, Terry was the person that made all the decisions about Mama's house, and the other kids were upset because Terry kept threatening to sell the house. And well, if your house is in a trust, you ain't got to worry about Terry selling your house. That's not a situation that could come about. And these are the things that we need to do a little more research. And I'll say this: I know we talk about several things on this show. We provide information, but I would empower all our viewers to go research some of this stuff and learn more about it on their own. Because, all we're trying to do is get this information out there, conversations that we don't have. I realized growing up, our parents didn't have all the answers. And, I learned something every day. And I'm still, like my brother said, I'm still learning a lot about the trust. But from what I'm seeing, man, people from other communities have been taking advantage of this for years. And it's like we're just now, and I'm not saying everybody because some people knew about it, but a lot of us are just now being put on to this process. So, my thing is take the information given, research, and if it fits your lifestyle, please take advantage of it. With that being said, let's talk about what was the percentage, what is the percentage of Black families without a trust?
All right. I'll say a study suggests that the percentage of Black Americans, potentially over 70%, lack a will and lack any kind of estate plan, uh, which is true because, we as a people, when we don't have the knowledge or the information about how to plan your final your final wishes, or the financial knowledge of trying to maintain your assets, your home, or whatever possessions you deem valuable. If you don't have the knowledge of that, it's just like I've always said, anytime somebody died in my family, it was like, hey, it's a grab for whatever they can get their hands on before the coats can get it.
And see, that's
Wow.
crazy, man. That is crazy. Go ahead, Chris.
I was just saying wow because the thing is the more I've been like I said I've been studying on this trying to understand this a lot more. Uh, it's sad because even when I do like the history on a lot of this, a lot of us have from our our granddaddies and this and that, and we always they kept their money. They didn't put their money in the bank. Uh, so now we talking about something about a living trust and how trust is beneficial because you got so many people when they die to get caught up in the court system trying to retrieve certain amount of money, and the government is trying to not. You got to go through all this instead of you just having a trust that they can't touch it or they can't tax it or take the money from you. It's things that we're not educated on. And then you get looking at how black people have been mistreated with the banking system in the past. A lot of them, been railroad or just pushed out the side, or when they went in there trying to ask for loans and different things. So it makes black people discouraged to even, put certain things. But then you got people, like you say, who know about it. They don't share this with everybody. It's just like a secret society thing. They keep it to, certain groups, and they don't my fault. They have no desire to help their, people to let them know about things like this. So they keep us in the dark. And you see saying 70% of the people, that's like there's a whole lot of us in the dark. That we don't know how to manage money properly, how to invest money properly, or how to let money make money for ourselves. A lot of times rich people, they know how to use money to make money for themselves. And this is where we're not educated on. When you invest your money, you put your money in bonds, you put your money in stocks, you put your money in stuff like trusts. We are not informed properly how to succeed and get wealth off stuff like this. Or, like I say, to leave this before our children so they will have something when we pass away.
I mean,
That's true. Go ahead, Sean.
I would say this. I think the younger generations are now are more knowledgeable since we been introduced to social media and just in the internet in general. They've been privy to it now, so now they know how to do it. I think that because like our generation and generation before, we were, like I said, we were just kind of taught just to, hey, you just make your money, save your money the best way you can, and just whenever a rainy day comes, that's when you use it. You know what I'm saying? It was never making allow your money to make money for you. Just like Chris said, to invest in stocks and stuff like that. We were introduced that at later stages of our coming up, as far as being adults. Like, I mean, I say maybe I really was introduced that like in my 40s and stuff like that. I can't say back when I was young, there was someone was saying, hey, invest in stocks, or hey, do something in that would kind of set up you in a position, set you in a position where you can have money that you can, that's for your kids or your kids or whatever, stuff like that. We just didn't have that.
Well, I hear what you're saying, man. I think a lot of these things were presented in a negative light, and I want to say, like the stock market, for instance. A lot of times when I was coming up in my 20s and 30s, talking about the stock market, it was always presented as, you know, it's risky. You put your money out there, there's a possibility that you could lose your life savings. You can make a lot of money, but you can lose a lot of money. There
Yeah.
weren't things talked about like uh, stocks that have done a certain projection over the last 10 years, where it's considered a risky investment. But if you look at it in the scheme of things, it's pretty steady over 10 years. And it's just about learning how to look at different stocks and learning how to invest your different monies. Because your job, if you got your money in a 401 um, plan, your job is investing your money.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't look at it like that, but they are. They're investing your money. People have actually lost their retirement. uh,
Well,
and
I don't know if you can call 401k retirement, but
well, yeah, it's not really retirement,
yeah,
but you're right. It's pennies on the dollar, but that's a whole nother conversation.
yeah, so
Um,
yeah,
but
true indeed.
you have these corporations that make decisions on your behalf, and they're playing with your money, trying to make money. Then you have banks. Let's not get it twisted. You put your money in the bank, you know, they they invest your money. That's different ways they do it, but they invest your money.
Yeah,
So we betting on these financial institutions to take care of us when we have things like this in place that we can actually take care of ourselves. And like Raymond said, I was you talking about 40s. It was late 40s before I even knew or heard of a trust. I didn't know what a trust
man,
was. Now, I ain't gonna say I never heard of a trust. I didn't understand what a trust was. Let me rephrase that because I've heard of a trust. I just didn't understand the benefits of a trust and how I could obtain one.
yeah,
That's what I didn't understand. So these are conversations that when we get together, uh, we need to be talking about it. Like, why are black people scared to talk about money? And I ain't talking about talking about out here what they can buy with their money. I ain't even talking about telling people how much money they make a year. I'm talking about how to keep your money, how to multiply your money. Why is that a tough conversation? And for those who know, why not share? I never understood that. I never got it. But hey, it is what it is. Hopefully we can get past that and we can work together. Um, why do people, especially black people, lack generational wealth?
You say, why do black people, especially black people, like generational wealth? It's because we never was taught how, like I said, to invest in each other. I mean, we used to, we used to have generational wealth, but when we was re-educated how to live a certain way and do certain things. And like I said, if you go back to Black Wall Street and other historical times in the 20s and 30s, when the recession was going on, black people was living prosperous. They was in a lot of see this part of the history is not even told that how we wasn't putting our money in the banks and we was building certain things, towns. We helped Cadillac, all different things and expectations. But as now we have it's the transformation is we lost our black businesses. We went to go to other people corporations, Silver Rosebud, Montgomery Wood, all these different places. All these black businesses went away. um, why we don't have generational wealth? Because we never when we get money, most of us never knew how to handle money. And I can't say I don't watch, even in my era being young, I don't watch family members pass away. They leave their children a nice real estate, houses, different stuff. And 3 years later, them children get it. They didn't know what to do with it. They even everything they had was gone. So I think we was never educated on how and like this not for every family because some families did leave their children something that could start them off and benefit them properly. But because these children maybe was out here hustling, doing stuff, or getting high, didn't understand the scenario of what they had in their possession, they messed it all up and it all went away. They sitting around with nothing years later.
Well, let me
The
ask you
house
this, sir.
gone, the money gone, everything is gone.
Let me ask you this. How do you just leave your children or your family land and money without discussing the expectations of how to handle that situation? How do you just do that? Like, If I leave my kids, let's just say $500,000,
Mm.
and my son has $70,000 worth of debt. My daughter got over $120,000 worth of debt. My other two kids together, they got 200,000 worth of debt. $200,000 worth of debt. What do you think is going to happen to that money?
I rarely don't think it's going to help them out with debt. They're gonna
Yeah,
increase their debt.
so so these are conversations that we should be having with our kids, with our family members, period. Because this is the thing. Let's be honest. Nobody wants to talk about death. Nobody wants to have a conversation of, you know, what happens once you leave or once a family member leaves this world. But the fact of these are conversations that need to be had, man, because this is what happens. Like, you think you're leaving some money to build your family's legacy, and that's simply not happening because of different scenarios that are taking place. And they feel like, okay, I got this money, I can pay off my debt, I can get a clean start. No, I understand. Okay, you have this, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't use the money to help you get out the hole. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the expectation of leaving this land is not for you to sell it. The expectation of you leaving you this money is not for you to blow it. It's the in your parents or your loved ones' mind is to put you in a better situation, to better yourself. But that's not happening. You know, it's interesting. I ran across a post today, um, on Instagram, and it said black people fall in line with every trend except sticking together. And that's hard to steal because that's true, man. You look at what's important in the black community as a whole when it comes to social media right now. The biggest thing going on right now is boots on the ground.
Um, let me jump in.
Yeah, I got you. Go ahead, man. Go
Let me
ahead.
jump in. I we I what it is we're our generation. I go back to our generation. Our generation, we were the ones that well, our parents were the ones that kind of started the not to really being, kind of strong ties with our relatives. We kind of broke off and just kind of went to our own ways and kind of like, okay, well, I'm here, you over there. I mean, we'll communicate, talk, we'll kind of link up every now and again, but like, having real kind of gatherings with family like that, like it used to be, it's not like that anymore. So in that process, it stops the conversations about having to, saying like talking about things of what we're talking about now, trying to secure, yourself financially, leaving something for your kids, sticking together. Cause I mean, like anytime, like I said, going back to like with my relatives, anytime something happened when somebody passed away, and if it was some type of asset or something there, like a house or something, if someone was quick to hop on it, they'll hop on it and they'll sell the house and saying keep the money for themselves and won't let nobody know until after everything happened. Because I know with my father, he told me his sister jacked the house, their mother's house, and sold it, and she didn't even give any of the money to anybody. She just pocketed the money and just went off on her merry way. Couldn't go to the courts, couldn't sue her because hey, it was no legal document to say, hey, um, this is going to these people, this money is going to be distributed if they do sell or whatever. It was nothing in paper. So, that is why we're here trying to, let people know that, hey, it's, if you don't have anything in place to, be, responsible, lets people know that, hey, there's a response, a responsibility to distribute your wealth, according to how you see fit, then it's going to go wherever. And you don't want that. You want for people to know, and that's why we're trying to, right some of the wrongs that we've have going on in our community about not being knowledgeable, not being educational about things that are important to your family. Because we want our families to kind of have a heads up on what's going on, and not be let the cycle continue of people being misled and being duped out of stuff because they just greedy.
Well, let me just
But you
give
know
you.
what? Hold up. He said something real. I know you want to build on that, but the real thing he said that when a scenario like that happens, or a loved one who do have money, usually pass away, you got family members like shocks and buzzers just waiting to come in and connive and take everything instead of dividing it equally. It's just it's like the lust of what has just happened, the unity of family, and see what he just said. It does resurrect with a lot of other cultures and people, but in the black community, because we've been lacking so much, and I have heard this for many years, how always somebody wanting to get more of the pie than the rest of the other two siblings or something. Is that's a major question right now where we having this conversation that is a problem, because everybody's so greedy. When you, I mean, even like you said, to do something can happen, and I've been through the scenario. Our family, all families go through the same greed scenario. When a loved one die, they come in like shocks, and they don't give a f about the siblings or whoever else. It's all about self. And like I said, I done felt that, and Derek done felt it. All of us done felt different scenarios like that. And
Yeah.
it's sad that you are let something like that would take over your whole vessel to just take, instead of what right is right. I can't even see how you could sleep at night knowing you would do something devious, cheevious like that to other people when it comes to something like that. And you wonder why we in a position where we don't have a financial wealth. And I look at Chinese people, how they work together as a unity and put their families in the business and working, and they get more than one restaurant. I watch Mexican people, how they buy one house and they work in unity, and all of them stay in that house, and they get another house, and they get cars, and they get businesses, and they work in unity. But when I look at us, how we are just so divided, and so we just take from each other and don't even care if the other one is suffering and doesn't have a lot. It's about what I can get, and I don't even care. It's sad, and that is one of the reasons, in my view and opinion, why us as people, it ain't saying all black people, but it's some of us that does not care about the others, and we'll invest in our culture to build each other up. We don't have unity. Just like you said, you read today that we run with every trend, but we will never stick together. And that is very sad. That's a cancer, AIDS, and a disease in our community that need to stop.
So
Let me,
basically, what? Oh, go ahead.
let me say one more thing, because when you talk about the buying stuff, that's another thing I wanted to hit that too, because we covet so much material things. Like, we know rich people, they don't really care about the how they, what kind of clothes they wear, like designer clothes and stuff. If you really somebody rich and really know how to manage your money, they don't care about what kind of clothes you have. Because us as a community, let me just say, I ain't gonna say all of us, I say a great portion of us, we want to look a certain way. We want to have the latest clothing from the latest brands and stuff like that, because we want to feel like we're we're wealthy. We want to feel like we have something. So that, but that's not a good way to spend your money or create more money, because the whole idea is to make the money that you acquire, the money that you work for you. you know so it does, having certain type of clothes. I mean, it's cool if you can be wise in how you spend it, but it'll be even cooler if you invest that money in something that's going to grow.
True. One of the biggest challenges for the black family is relating to heirs property, where unclear titles, unpaid taxes, and family disputes can lead to the loss of an inheritance of real estate. Also, greed takes over when somebody dies because of the lack of money, and that's what I was talking about. I'm gonna use I'm gonna be a little vulnerable here, and I hope this doesn't upset my brother. But my grandmother passed in 2000, um, one, and when she passed, she owned two properties. I didn't understand the worth of keeping those properties, so the family got together and decided to sell them. We kept them for a couple of years, and the money was dispersed throughout the family. I think I got a couple of $100. My mom, her brothers got the bulk of the money. Um, but I didn't understand the significance of that land being sold. Now that land right now is in the area of Mount Herman in Portsmouth, and it's no telling what that property is worth right now. And my dad passed in 2006, and I always talk about he owned a city block. There were two properties on that block, and they were both sold. And that's near downtown Portsmouth, um, in the Brighton area, and it's no telling what those properties are worth. And if there was a trust in place, my family would still have all four of those properties. And that's what I'm talking about. That these are the things that I'm talking about. Like generational wealth was lost because of lack of knowledge, lack of communication, um, partly greed. And I'm not trying to call out any of my family members. That's not why I'm having this conversation. I'm just saying the importance of us being in a situation where we can build generational wealth was there. And because of the lack of knowledge, we no longer have that. And that's why it's important that we have these discussions.
Yeah, because when you inherit something that's given to you, I mean, it's just like land. If this whole land was given to us, but we so naive and greedy over some fake generational money that somebody's face is on and they give it to us, and that paper loses its value, but that land gains more value in it, and you done gave away your whole land, and your children don't have no land, and some foreigner took over the whole land because you weren't so greedy over some fake counterfeit money with some monopoly money with some racist man face on it, which was more valuable with the land. Then you come to find out that land had ore. Then you come to find out that land had gold. Then you come to find out that land had expensive minerals. That land was good for farming. But see, we don't understand that. We so caught up in this illusion instead of the real. We so caught up in the fake instead of the real. So it's like we lose everything that's great for our children. You just thinking about yourself. You're not thinking about behind yourself, your grandkids, and your family. And if you teach them properly and show them the value of what they have, they will keep that. Could you imagine that your grandmama, and I know this is a fact, back in the day had plenty gold that was 24 carats. And she had this way back in 1920 and tons of it, and ain't nobody touch it. Do you know the value of that? When everybody got these gold shops and they were just giving away their gold, not even thinking how valuable, because it's hard to even find 24 karat gold now.
That's
But
correct.
these are things that we didn't take under consideration. We were looking at right now.
Yeah, yeah. Let me ask y'all this: why is having a trust important?
I think we just kind of covered it. But I mean, it's important because, like I said, passing your assets, your property on to, those people who you deem, like I said, the trustees, as somebody who willing to pass, get those properties and get those assets. You as the trustor, as Chris said, you can also deem yourself as the trustee, if you want to retain those assets. But in the basic sense, it's like, you want to have your who you designate as that person. Now, this is one thing. It's not going to escape whatever state taxes that you normally have. It's not going to escape that, because those are going to be there. But as far as the ownership of the property, if the property is paid in full, that's yours. And another thing is, I just throwing it out there, because I know that, because what Chris talked about, I kind of piggyback off of him when we talk about land and giving it up. Purchasing land, that's a good way to kind of have something, so that you can you know have something to retain for your family for generations, and passing that on. So, you know that's always a thing to think about when you know you're, as a young person, or someone that's entering their uh their 30s and stuff like that, and they really are thinking about their future. That's land is one of the things that is a good thing that you can consider in your thoughts about generational wealth.
And also, like you said, with a trust, you ain't got to worry about real estate taxes. You ain't got to worry about them trying to auction off your land. They can't touch it. This is something that should be kept. Once you put it in these trusts, you don't have to worry about these problems. The next thing is our children, instead of investing in SpongeBob and all this YouTube crap they watching, invest in them with knowledge of how to do culture, how to, cultivate the land, how to invest. Imagine if they was to teach
Hmm.
us this when we were 4 or 5 years old, what we would be doing right now in stocks and knowing everything about living trusts, how we will be more entrepreneurs and doing and investing. We out here investing in everybody else, but we're not investing in ourselves.
True. So one of the things is you can avoid probate. Assets in a trust skip the court process, saving you and your loved ones money and stress. It gives you control. You decide who gets what, when, and how. Want to delay an inheritance until a child is 30? A trust can do that. It protects your privacy. Unlike a will,
Mm,
a trust isn't a public record. Your financial and family matters stay confidential.
mm.
Supports loved ones. You can provide for minors, aging parents, or family members who have special needs on your terms. This is the biggest one and the best one to me. It reduces family conflict.
Oh
Clear
yeah.
instructions and neutral trustees can provide and help prevent issues.
Amen.
You can't, that's a big thing. Um, a lot of people move on from this world and there's no will in place. Like I said, even with a will, you still have to go through probate court. The trust is a little different.
Hmm.
To break down, how they want things done as far as the property and the money. Um, no clear instructions of how to divide these things. A trust can provide all of that. I'm gonna say this too. It's important that you have a living will. I was doing some research on that. That's very important because if you get to a point while you're still living and you can't make decisions for yourself, a living will can dictate exactly what needs to take place. It's just a little nugget I want to throw out there. But you know, these are the reasons why it's important to have a trust in place. You know, especially I love the reducing family conflict because you know there's
Yeah.
always, for some reason, there's always a lot of conflict around a death in the
Money.
family.
Yeah,
Aunt
death and money.
Susie. Aunt Susie know how much of a
Money.
jackpot that
Money.
her brother and sister got. So she like,
Money.
hey,
Money.
don't worry
That's all.
about it, y'all.
When,
I take
like
care
I
of
say,
everything.
when they
I
see
take
somebody
care of
sick,
everything.
when they see a family member sick and ready to die, and they know they got a lot of money, they come around like buzzards. Come
Sign
around
this
like
right
buzzards,
here.
seeing where they can
Sign this
where they
right here.
can
I'll
get.
be
They
your
going all
power
through
attorney.
insurance policies and everything. They trying to get everything they can get. It's a cold-blooded world, but this is the reality we live.
Sharks.
And you ain't lying.
Buzzards and sharks.
So what can we place in a trust? Well, common assets, real estate, bank accounts, investments, life insurance, vehicles, and personal property. So these are all the things you can place in a trust. Um, and that's why it's important and beneficial to have one. Like I said before, having a will can still land you in probate court and have your property and your money tied up. But with a trust in place, all these things can be safe, can keep people's hands out your pocket, and can have clear instructions of what need to take place next. How does a trust help avoid probate or reduce taxes? I know Chris mentioned that earlier. So how does that work?
Basically, like I said, when you got a trust, they can't tax or touch it. It's untouchable. Basically, this is where a lot of people who have houses and don't know about trusts, and you watch so many people lose their houses because they don't pay their real estate taxes. You'll see the city or the state start coming after the people, and you'll see the house on an auction block. You have a trust, you'll never see your house on an auction block. You don't have to worry about them taxes or being what I call it extortion. You don't got to worry about, if I go around the stores and you ain't paying me taxes, and you done bought this store, and I take it, you look at me as an enforcer or somebody like the mafia. Excuse me, I'm getting hoarse all of a sudden, so I ain't my throat. And they take,
That's the devil, y'all. The devil. The
yeah,
devil that jumped on them.
you gotta shut them up right now. Shut them
Gotta get him. He telling too much. He telling too much. Get him.
But I'm saying it's the same thing like we paying taxes. Taxes ain't nothing but extortion. You shouldn't be able, like I always tell you, you shouldn't be able to buy a house and your house is $500,000, and every year after that you got to pay real estate taxes on something that's your land. Somebody's extorting you. You shouldn't be able to buy a car and you pay a nice amount, 50 some thousand for this car and paid all the taxes. Then every year to drive, you still got to pay property taxes. This is an extortion. But we've been born into this culture of this land doing that. See, having a trust, your car's in a trust, you having your house in a trust, you would never have to worry about situations like that. And they don't want us to know that because they can't make money off us if everybody knows about trust and doing this. See, the whole game is to be sold, not told. So the only way you learn the game is spending money and losing. The game is to be sold, not told. You're gonna spend a lot of money learning what not to do. And right now, somebody dropping game to you. So I tell people to study about trust, live in trust, and everything to put your finances, your assets, and everything to protect them. That's all we're trying to tell you. We're telling you game. Right now, you're learning game. How not the system or all the shocks coming around when somebody die come in and try to take everything.
All right. Like, and another thing, just like with D talking about the
about the living wills, living trust. Like, say for instance, if you were incapacitated, or if you have to be in a home, that will be taken into account when going through your assets as well. So keep that in mind too. So it's that's just another way for them to look at how they you know go through your assets. And I'm talking about probate. So but having that trust in place is a buffer to make sure that they know that, hey, look, they can't take your everything that you have. They can put into consideration the taxes, like Chris said, or you going into maybe assisted living or something like that, where you're not able to take care of yourself anymore in regards to your health.
Absolutely, absolutely. Remember, land is one of the best assets to buy and to keep, because they ain't making no more. That's one thing about it. They ain't making no more land. You ain't gonna go out here and find
Ain't
no
making no
more
more
earth.
land.
But the funny thing, like when you say that it's better, and I, so many people go out here and own a lot of properties, so they go ahead and have these houses. That is a financial way of making money. They can rent these apartments or sell. You can flip, but a lot of time the most valuable thing is having land. The more land you got, the more wealthy you are. I don't even know how you get a hand on a piece of land and just give it away or just throw it away for pennies, and then somebody take that land and build 3 houses on it when you had one house with all that land. It's
So
it's
well, no,
insane. And
Hey,
they done flip your house, they done flip your land 3, 4 times. It's
people,
insane.
people selling houses and selling land like they making more. Like I said, they ain't making no more now.
hey,
Yeah.
yo, D, hit us off with that data our push producer did, because she was talking about that, on that
Uh,
next slide on the PDF.
oh yeah, you lost me on that. Oh yeah.
My bad, dog. My bad, dog. I just know that we had
Yeah,
we
we ran out of time. Go ahead and cause yeah, I'm blacked out right now. Go ahead and hit them with it, Sean.
okay. What is it? The type of trust, because see, I know that one of the things that people think about, if they do have knowledge, is about how much these cost. For the do-it-yourself trust, is between $200 and $600. It's a basic revocable living trust template, limited customization. With the trust, as when you make it, you can amend it and make changes to it, as long as you still living, of course. um then you have attorney drafted trust, which range from $1,000 to $4,000. Yeah, it's personalized legal advice, so of course, they're gonna try to get their cut in the end for the service. And it's tailored documents, asset transfer guidance, as well as is offered in their service. Complex trusts, which range from $5,000 to $10,000, for irrevocable, which means hey, they ain't no taking it back. What it is, what it is. For special needs and or tax optimized trust. Offshore trust. Now this where you get to the corporate bosses. They'll range from $10,000 to $30,000. Which is specialized legal work, often for asset protection or international planning. If you trying to hop out of the country and you say, hey, look, take my wealth and my business with me.
Some good info. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's what's up, man. This has been a great episode. Chatting it up with my fellows about the trust, the living trust, what we should have in place. Hopefully, y'all take this information and, like I said earlier, you go do more research. I think this is something that can benefit everybody. Um, you can't say that the conversation wasn't had, because we had it right here on the Get Established show. So you can't say that we holding back the info. And you know, thanks to our pushing producer, we learned some stuff today too. How
Yes,
about that?
indeed. Shout out to our pushing producer.
Yeah. Shout out
But
to our pushy producer.
wow. But you know what it is. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Get a step.
This has been the Get Established Show Live. Please like, subscribe. Like I said, smash that like button. You know, join the movement, join us, join what we got going on. Hey, it's hot, it's hopping and popping over here. YouTube, Facebook, X, Twitter, TikTok. We all up on there. Come on and join us. And as always, for the fellas, push the producer. Peace.